Had a busy day?
You did.
Good. All right, Ben. Have a great day, buddy.
See you later, Dad.
We'll see you this afternoon.
My name is Ben. Benjamin Michael George. This isn't my real voice. I don't talk the way you do, or walk on my own. But when it comes to the things that really matter, I'm no different from anybody else.
I'm Mike, Ben's dad. In the early 90s, I thought I was doing all the right things. I had married Jan, my high school soulmate. We had 2 wonderful children, Connor and Tori, and we were excited about building a fulfilling future for them. Life was good.
We were surprised and blessed to find out that we were pregnant a 3rd time. And along came Ben in June of '92. Everything was just as it was with the other 2. You know, a very joyous moment.
An hour after Ben was born, that joy was swept away. A doctor said, "We have a problem. You have a very sick baby. He has an enlarged liver and spleen. His head is too small and his blood platelets are dangerously low." Those words felt like ice.
And my first thought was, they've mixed up babies. This can't be my baby, because I just had my baby in my arms. But in fact, it was Ben, and all I could say to her was, could he die? And she said, yes, he could.
At that moment, our world crashed down. This doctor seemed like a monster. I felt the scars of that day would never heal. A few days later, a neurologist said something I hear in my head to this day. Ben may never be able to walk, talk, or go to school. With that, my hope for a fulfilling life vanished.
And I tried to picture, what this, will I have a blob in a crib? I couldn't imagine what that meant. And I couldn't imagine looking at him that it was so severe.
Ben's first few years often beat us to exhaustion, with one crisis blending into the next. There were seizures and surgeries. One year, I counted more than 70 panicked rushes to the ER. But there was light too. We came to see there was a smart, social, loving person trapped deep inside Ben. And we were driven to help him express that. So, when he was 5, we sent him to kindergarten. He deserved that chance.
But we were worried about, what if he had a seizure while he was at school? How would they handle that? And so for the first many months, I think for the first year of kindergarten, I went with him. But I didn't want to be in the classroom with him, so I set up a desk outside and I would work on whatever I was working on. And I stayed in the school the whole time. It was really the only way that we could make it work.
Throughout elementary school, we focused on helping Ben develop physically. No one knew how to help him academically. As he moved into middle school, we started to challenge that. Still, experts told us he had little potential. It was frustrating. We didn't know where to turn. Back then, we had no idea we were on the verge of something wonderful at St. Malachy's High School.
The St. Max years were life-changing. They were incredible for Ben. And St. Malachy's staff were incredible, really. They were so creative and really wanted to give Ben exposure to all of the other things that the high school students had exposure to.
Oftentimes I would see Ben come in the morning, and every morning I would think how challenging it was for him to get to that point in his day where the rest of us perhaps might just hop out of bed, hop in the shower. It would be much more complicated for Ben. Never did I see Ben out of sorts, always with a smile, so I had great admiration for that.
When I started working with Ben, we just took it as every student had the ability to learn. We just had to find the best solution for him. He was just included in everything that everybody else did.
Before St. Max, I didn't really understand what inclusion meant. I quickly learned it isn't something that just happens. It's about having the right attitude, accepting people for who they are, and finding ways for them to contribute and belong. St. Max lives and breathes inclusion. Students get the best shot at a bright future, not a life of sitting at home.
When Connor was in school, we didn't go into the school and say to his math teacher, here's how to teach him math. That just happened. But with Ben, we did have to help the teachers with, here are some of the things that you can do differently that will help to stimulate him, that will get him to a learning state, if you will.
Ben was succeeding in school. He could even walk a couple of 100 feet with a walker. As for talking, speech experts continued to give us little hope. But they didn't tell us about this.
I am 24 years old.
Yeah, I know that very well, Ben. Yeah.
Old.
Yeah. I was there when you started.
We call it his talker. He controls it with his eyes, and it was a game changer. Dr. Mir Banaji, a speech disorder specialist from Louisiana State University, believed in Ben so much that she designed his first communication system. After 19 years without a voice, he suddenly had the gift of words.
It's really amazing, and it really validates kind of how sarcastic and witty we always knew he was from the looks he would always give us. To really hear that verbalized is really fun. It's nice that now he's able to find his own voice.
After 6 years at St. Max, Ben was 21 and finishing grade 12. He went to the high school prom, and then came one of the most surreal experiences of our lives, graduation. Against all odds, our son had made it. And on that wondrous night, he stood.
The first diploma we will present tonight is Benjamin Michael George, graduate class 2013.
It was really emotional. It was great. I cried everything, but I definitely cried at that.
Who knows? I didn't see anything from there because I was crying so hard that it was just, it was a blur. And we were all there and clapping so loudly and cheering for him. And so too was the entire graduating class. They were on their feet and all giving him a standing ovation. I just remember it was an incredible moment.
The very sick boy who was never going to walk, talk, or go to school has become a young man with an education and a voice that's helping him define a future that's bigger than his past. 5 days a week, 6 hours a day, he continues to learn. Ben George, high school graduate, is a university student. Ben takes one course per term at the University of Nouveau-Brunswick in St. John. He's a good student and has done well in most of his courses. Never has a student with his level of challenges studied on this campus, but UNB was willing to help Ben succeed and make him feel he belonged. Once, he used his talker to make a presentation with his friend Gracelyn in a sports psychology class.
It went well. We'd practiced it a lot, and I don't even think he repeated himself once. I think he was very comfortable up there. Like, I don't think he was nervous at all with everybody looking at us while we presented for an hour. So, yeah.
It was spellbinding. It was just superb. And Graceland would help do the PowerPoint presentation, and Ben would do the talking, and it was wonderful.
He said it was fantastic overall. Yeah, we got 19 out of 20, so I think he liked it.
Ben got an A+ in that course. We were ecstatic. So how does he do it? His assistants take notes for him and help him study. And so far, his exams have been mostly multiple choice or true or false, and he gets extra time to complete them. It works, because if we know how to teach Ben, he knows how to learn.
For me personally, as a professor, to have a student like Ben in my class is like opening up a ray of sunshine, no question, because everything is different with Ben in your classroom. 35 or 40 years ago, you wouldn't see a Ben George on this campus. Thank goodness the world can change, and we can all change as part of it.
I've always felt that Ben is, and I've always said to people that he's a genius trapped in a body that doesn't work. That just because we can't understand what he's thinking, that just because he can't articulate it, doesn't mean that there's not a whole lot going on in his head.
I don't think it's been an easy road for Ben or my parents. I'm immensely proud of all three of them for everything that they do every single day. Ben couldn't have been born to greater parents for his situation. I mean, they never stop pushing him ever. I honestly don't know how they do it. They work really, really hard.
It's true. Ben is no different from other people his age. He wants to love and be loved, to learn, to spend time with his friends, to feel safe, and to contribute. His achievements have shown us the power of an inclusive community, a community that supports his hopes and dreams.
Ben has shown people that there's no reason why you can't excel at anything.
I think that he'll just find himself in an environment where he's always around people and always learning, because those are the two things that he really likes to do.
The question that is asked, or the statement that's made most frequently, is, I don't know how you do it. And you do it with the support of family, the strength of faith, the desire to just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Do I think specifically about how will he get a job and how will he earn money and how will he do the other things that young adults do? I don't think about that. I try to take one day at a time.
Life isn't perfect. I still meet people who don't believe in me. My parents still get overwhelmed and discouraged, and there are barriers to overcome every day. But special people seem to show up at the right time. And that's what helps most. How I approach life is more dramatic because of my disabilities, but so what? My dad says, if you can dream something up, there is always a path to get there. Step by step, we are finding our way.